IPL Season 3 Week 3 provided us with another week of blowouts. I'm Nihal Qatar, and this is IPL Weekly. Before we get into the Week 3 highlights, we have some breaking news. Sam Frawley, head coach of the Melbourne Metagross, has decided to step down from his position today. It is unclear what the league will look like going forward, so to shed some light on the situation, we have IPL insider Sahil Qatar joining us on the phone. How are you doing, Sahil?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself, Nihal?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm just confused about what this means for the league. Why did Sam step down from his position?
Yeah, today Sam told the league that he will be stepping down as head coach of the Melbourne Metagross due to busyness in his life. He was also frustrated because he did not schedule a match with the time zone difficulty with the Gibraltar Gardevoirs and Michael. And it led to him being frustrated, and he said he's now with a full-time job and he has other duties to do in life. So, as of right now, he says that he will not be returning for his Week 3 matchup. And there's a lot of potential on that team, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that he's leaving the league. Do you have any idea who might be replacing him?
It's a difficult situation because you're looking at a team that's 0-2 in Kalos X right now. And that division has a superstar in Steven and the Bayern Munchlax who lead with 2-0 and an amazing differential. So how many people are going to really want to be thrust into that position of basically almost winning the rest of their games in order to have a chance to get into the playoffs? It's very difficult, and that's why there aren't that many options at this point. Right now we're looking at Ryan Gerald, an IPL legend, was there in the first two seasons. He barely missed on the playoffs in the first season. We know he's hungry for revenge. After finishing 6 and 7 that year, so he is definitely a candidate that the Melbourne Metagross staff is looking at because he showed very good performances that season. The Chicago Bearticks were not something to be messed with. Another option is Sacramento Slow Kings former coach Steve-O. He was brilliant in season 2 while it lasted. He was all the way undefeated until he played Steven and Bayern Munchlax, and he only ever suffered that one loss. He was very interested in coming back to the league, and it's going to be interesting if he does, in fact, take over as head coach of the Melbourne Metagross. And last but not least, and who my sources tell me is in the lead right now, is Wasim Sadiq, also goes by the pseudonym Ranger W. He was the coach of the Baltimore Honchcrows in Season 2. That was his first season in the IPL. And he made it very clear that he wanted to return. He was very into the entire format, and even though he didn't have the best of records, he also didn't have the worst of records. And he was very determined, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see Baltimore Honchcrows playing against the Gibraltar Gardevoirs for Week 3.
So as of now, so long that the league finds a coach, they will be playing that Week 3 match?
That's what it's definitely looking like. It's already a tough position, as I said, to go 0-2 and just expect to make the playoffs, because that's what people want to do in this league. It's that competitive. It's to win it all. That's what this is really about. And if you start off a team going 0-3, I think there's going to be some conversations going on the administrative side of the IPL, because not many teams are going to want to do that. And also, it makes it so that every team who plays that team is not going to have a serious matchup. You already have an 0-3 team in the IPL. I don't think you want another team like that. I think that was some of the issues for teams like the Compton Caterpies in Season 1. So, definitely, I think we should expect Michael to show up and actually battle someone this weekend. And
final question for you. If a new coach comes into the league, what is the free agency situation going to look like?
Yeah, the IPL has a strict policy of letting a new coach who's taking over have as many free agency changes as they want. We saw this last year when Rob Ruiz took over with the Rio Grande Valley Survivors and made a bunch of changes and eventually left. But that's interesting. But yeah, the IPL administrative side doesn't think that it's fair for a coach to come in with a team that he didn't draft and just expect to have all the chemistry there. So whoever is going to be coaching against Michael this week, they are going to have a lot of the say in how they feel their team.
Okay, that was Sahil Qatar. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. All right, now let's get into the highlights. Week 3 kicked off with the much-anticipated match between the undefeated Bayern Munchlax and the Milwaukee Mewers. After an unfortunate critical hit early on in the match on a +3 Mew, Bayern Munchlax were then able to sweep with a Cosmic Power Clefable. A very good match for Steven and Bayern Munchlax, and he is now 3-0 with a +16 differential. And Sahil, disappointed after that critical hit, and he was feeling dejected. I caught up with both coaches after this match. Take a listen. I'm here with my post-match interview with coach of the Milwaukee Mewers, Sahil Qatar, just coming off a 6-0 loss to the Bayern Munchlax. First question first, how are you feeling right now? Where do you go from here?
That's 2 questions.
That's 2 questions, yeah. But how are you feeling? What are your initial thoughts on the match? And we're going to have the match replaying in the background.
My initial thoughts were that, well, I'm just really disappointed right now, and I feel like I wasn't really given, that fair of a chance to contest, because my strategy for Clefable was my Mew, let alone, not being able to sweep it all.
So Entei is your leading killer of your team, with 3 kills on the season.
That's right.
Go through your rationale for not bringing Entei today.
I thought that Zygarde was... I had a couple different teams going in, and I eventually chose to, not bring Entei and bring Zygarde instead. And I guess the reasoning for that was Vaporeon is a hard counter, and Megazard X. It wasn't really that Entei wouldn't have provided a purpose, it's just that I thought everything else provided more of a purpose, I guess.
And I am joined by coach of the Bayern Munchlax, Steven Dick. Steven's coming off a 6-0 win against the Milwaukee Mewers and Sahil Qatar. First question, Steven, how are you feeling after that victory?
A little bit mixed about it. I'm not feeling the best about it, but I don't know. We didn't see what either of the teams did, because basically it was just like Mew set up and then got crit, and then Clefable set up and pretty much went through it. So I don't know. I think it wasn't like a great way to win. I don't think it was. I had intended from the beginning. I thought that either Zard or Clefable was going to be able to sweep if I weakened things, but the crit on Mew kind of changed on the rest of the game like in a huge way. So I don't know. I'm happy I won, but I'm not quite happy the way it happened.
What has been the key for your fantastic start this season, do you think?
What's been the key?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think I've been this team more than any has been a lot more balanced and slow than I think they've had. So I've had to think a lot about making a balanced team that has switching through things and being able to counter stuff like that. So I think, like, if I look at the first 2 teams, I definitely I'm proud of their setup, because basically, like, everything there was there to do something. Like, everything was there to counter something, or and the whole system works because things rely on each other, which I think is the main thing. Basically, there's more synergy now.
Okay, let's get right back into it. On Saturday, the undefeated Toledo Mudkits took on the surprisingly struggling Hollywood Haluchas. Hydreigon led the way for Hollywood with 3 kills and was constantly putting pressure on the Mudkip's defense. The only player that fainted for the Haluchas was Azumarill. Hollywood won the match 5-0. Later that night, the Beach City Corfish and Richie faced off against the hot Australian Aegislashes and Mayo. The Aegislashes needed to win to jump to sole first place in the Alola Sun Division, while Richie and Beach City were desperate to bounce back after a tough loss against division rivals Cleveland Escavaliers. Unfortunately for the Corfish, the opposing Registeel was able to thunderwave the Slurpuff, seriously crippling Beach City's chances of winning. The Aegislashes were able to maintain their undefeated record with a 5-0 victory. On Sunday, the London Lanterns and newcomers Wisconsin Wailords played in what turned out to be yet another blowout. Mega Gardevoir led the way for the Lanterns by picking up 3 of the team's 6 kills in their 6-0 win. London hasn't suffered a loss since week 1 of the IPL and now leads Kalos Y with a record of 2-1. And finally, the Cleveland Escavaliers look to stay undefeated this season as they came up against the winless Dayton Dratinis. In a long, drawn-out match, the Escavaliers were always in control and were able to pick up a 6-0 victory. Now let's look at the standings after 3 weeks of play. In the Kalos Conference, in the X division, Bayern Munchlax, as I said, are 3-0 with a 2-0 division record and a plus 16 differential. They look to be the league favorites and are in driving position to get into the playoffs and to get that first week bye. In that division, Melbourne Metagross are 0-2 and 0-1 in the division, as are Gibraltar Gardevoirs. Of course, their records are contingent on the match, hopefully to be played later this week, in the hopes that we find a coach to take over the Melbourne Metagross. Either way, Bayern Munchlax are in control. In the Kalos Y division, the London Lanterns lead the way at 2-1 and 1-1 in their division with a plus 9 differential. The Wisconsin Wailords are in second place with a 1-2 record, 1-1 in the division, and a negative 4 differential. And in third place are the Milwaukee Mewers after 2 disappointing losses. They are 1-2, 1-1 in the division, and with a minus 10 differential. Now let's go to the Alola Conference. In the Sun Division, you see Australian Aegislashes leading the way with a 3-0 record and a 1-0 division record, and their differential is plus 1. Right behind the Aegislashes are the Toledo Mudkips at 2-1 with a 1-0 division record and a plus 6 differential. And then trailing behind in third place are the Dayton Dratinis with an 0-3 record, an 0-2 division record, and a negative 14 differential. They're going to have a miracle turnaround if they want to make the playoffs. Finally, the Alola Moon Division is led by the undefeated Cleveland S Cavaliers, who will sport a 3-0 record with a 1-0 divisional record, also having a plus 13 differential. Both Beach City Corfish and Hollywood Haluchas are 1-2 respectively, or 1-2. Beach City are 1-1 in the division with a negative 7 differential, and the Hollywood Haluchas are 0-1 in the division with a negative 2 differential. That finishes out the standings for this week. Alright, now let's look at the MVP race. After 3 weeks, Nidoqueen of Bayern Munchlax still leads the race with 6 knockouts and only 1 feint. Of course, Nidoqueen didn't even come in week 3, so it's very impressive to be in that position. Clefable, also of the Bayern Munchlax, has 5 kills and is in second place and has 5 kills and 0 feints. Clefable is tied with Staraptor of the Cleveland Escavaliers with 5 kills and 0 feints. Finally, right up there with all 3 of them is Hydreigon with 5 knockouts and 2 feints. Alright, we have some free agency news. On Monday morning, league leader Bayern Munchlax picked up Heracross and dropped Scrafty, upping their point total to 1160. And later that day, the Milwaukee Mewers dropped Golbat and Caracosta, who they just picked up last week, for Tornadosterian and Gastrodon. They're looking to change some things in hopes of coming back into the playoff race. This leaves the Mewers with only 1 free agency token. They are hoping this marks a change in their fortune. Now let's look at the Week 4 matchups. The 2-1 London Lanterns are taking on the 3-0 Bayern Munchlax. This looks to be an incredibly important match in the Kalos Conference and could be potentially huge for who wins the entire conference and gets that bye. Remember, for that first seed, the first tiebreaker is head-to-head matchups. That's a match we'll be looking on and will be on our YouTube channel. Next, we have the 0-2 in Asterix Gibraltar Gardevoirs taking on the 1-2 Wisconsin Wailords. The 3-0 Cleveland Escavaliers are taking on the 3-0 Australian Aegislashes, another huge marquee matchup for the league and a match that everyone's eyes will be on. The 1-2 Hollywood Haluchas are looking to get their second win in a row against the winless Dayton Dratinis, who are 0-3. The 2-1 Toledo Mudkips are playing the 1-2 Beach City Corfish, and the 1-2 Milwaukee Mewers are playing Melbourne Metagross or whoever the team is that comes into the league. Alright, finally, let's get to the play of the week. This play comes from Mayo and the Australian Aegislashes. Umbreon, one of Mayo's favorite Pokemon, comes with equipped with a Toxic. Of course, Richie and Beach City Corfish have Mega Sableye, and its ability is Magic Bound, so you can't really status it. Mayo knew this, and he brought a Toxic Lumberry set with Umbreon, Toxic the Sableye. Of course, that bounced back onto Umbreon. Umbreon's ability is synchronized, so Mega Sableye was also poisoned, and then the Lumberry healed Umbreon's poison, which was just an absolute great play, and we look forward to more plays like that in Week 4. Stay tuned for more matches on the YouTube channel, more episodes of IPL Weekly, and we're looking forward to bringing more content to you guys. Once again, this has been Nihal Qatar with IPL Weekly. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.